this without my mouse today. Trina, hey girl, hey. Shayla, it's Wabu, it's Wabu. All right, y'all. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Pull my shimmer up right here. Here we go. All right, beautiful people. Happy Wednesday, happy Wednesday. Okay. It is February the 17th, 2021, day 80 of year 3 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets. And of the 3-year consecutive day count, it is day 749, 749. Today we're reading Deuteronomy 4, 5, and 6, and then we hop over to the legends of the Jews. All right, beautiful people. Tiffany, hey, girl, hey, peace and blessings, Aliyah. All right, y'all. Here, oh, look. We read the whole chapter of this today. I'm excited. Hear, therefore, O Israel, and observe to do it, that that it may be well with you, and that you may increase mightily, as Yahuwah, the God of our fathers, hath promised us, in the land that flows with milk and honey. Hear, O Israel, Yahuwah our God, He is one God, and you shall love Yahuwah your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. And these words which I command you this day shall be in your heart, and you shall teach them diligently unto your children. And you shall talk of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up. And you shall bind them for a sign upon your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes. Remember, thoughts and action. Thoughts drive action. And you shall write them upon the posts of your house and on your gates. And Yahuwah commanded us to do all these statutes, to fear Yahuwah our God for our good always, that He might preserve us alive as it is this day. And it shall be our righteousness if we observe to do these commandments before Yahuwah our God as He has commanded us. All right, beautiful people. So let's go ahead without further ado. Hop right on over here to the reading of Deuteronomy chapter 4 today. Sorry, I don't have my mouse. One of my children snagged it, and I don't know what they did. So I'm using the mouse pad, which I really... Okay. All right, yeah. All right, there we go. Okay. All right, beautiful people. Deuteronomy chapter 4. And now, Israel, listen carefully to these decrees and regulations that I am about to teach you. Obey them so that you may live, so that you may enter and occupy the land that Yahuwah, the God of your ancestors, is giving to you. Do not add or subtract from these commands. Do not add to or subtract from these commands I am giving you. Just obey the commands of Yahuwah, your God, that I am giving you. You saw for yourself what Yahuwah did to you at Baal Peor. There, Yahuwah, your God, destroyed everyone who had worshipped Baal, the God of Peor. But all of you who were faithful to Yahuwah, your God, are still alive today, every one of you. Look, I now teach you these decrees and regulations, just as Yahuwah, our God, commanded us, so that you may obey them in the land you are about to enter and occupy. Obey them completely, and you will display your wisdom and intelligence among the surrounding nations. When they hear all these decrees, they will exclaim, how wise and prudent are the people of this great nation. For what great nation has a God as near to them as Yahuwah, our God, is near to us whenever we call on Him? And what great nation has decrees and regulations as righteous and fair as this body of instructions that I am giving you today? I know, right, Trina? It is. No, I bought one. They even took my second one because they so hard on their own stuff. They just come swipe mine whenever they done tow their stuff up. Now I'm gonna have to start putting my stuff in my lockbox. Okay, I'm talking about my mouth, y'all. I'm sorry. Okay. But watch out, be careful, never to forget what you yourself have seen. Do not let these memories escape from your mind as long as you live, and be sure to pass them on to your children and grandchildren. Never forget the day when you stood before Yahuwah your God at Mount Sinai, where he told me, summon the people before me, and I will personally instruct them. Then they will learn to fear me as long as they live, and they will teach their children to fear me also. You came near and stood at the foot of the mountain, while flames from the mountain shot into the sky. The mountain was shrouded in black clouds and deep darkness, and Yahuwah spoke to you from the heart of the fire. You heard the sound of his words, but didn't see his form. There was only a voice. He proclaimed his covenant, the 10 Commandments, which he commanded you to keep, and which he wrote on 2 stone tablets. It was at this time that Yahuwah commanded me to teach you his decrees and regulations so that you will obey them in the land you are about to occupy and enter. Warning against idolatry. But be very careful. You did not see Yahuwah's form on the day he spoke to you from the heart of the fire at Mount Sinai. So do not corrupt yourselves by making an idol in any form, whether of a man or a woman, an animal on the ground, a bird in the sky, an animal that scurries along the ground, or a fish in the deepest sea. And when you look up into the sky and see the sun, moon, and stars, all the forces of heaven, do not be seduced into worshiping them. Yahuwah your God gave them to all peoples of the earth. Remember that Yahuwah rescued you from the iron smelting furnace of Egypt in order to make you his very own people and his special possession, which is what you are today. But Yahuwah was angry with me because of you. He vowed that I would not cross the Jordan River into the good land Yahuwah your God is giving you as your special possession. You will cross the Jordan to occupy the land, but I will not. Instead, I will die here on the east side of the river. So be careful not to break the covenant Yahuwah your God has made with you. Do not make idols of any shape. Do not make idols of any shape or form, for Yahuwah your God has forbidden this. Yahuwah your God is a devouring fire. He is a jealous God. In the future, when you have children and grandchildren and have lived in the land a long time, do not corrupt yourselves by making idols of any kind. This is evil in the sight of Yahuwah your God and will arouse his anger. Let me tell you, the very first time when I started, I ain't gonna say the first time I started reading, but about 3 years ago when I was started reading it like daily, like how I am now, focusing only on going through the Old Testament because I hadn't really read it for real, like really paying attention to it. When I got to this, I used to have like this gold cross and stuff. And when I read that this time, I got the image of that cross in my head because, you just put it around there, different kinds and other symbols and stuff. I'm like, Father, forgive me. Y'all, I ain't wore a now emblem around my neck since. Like, I got to look at stuff. I'm like, okay, could this be considered an idol? And I knew very well that the cross was considered an idol. Yahuwah said, don't make any form. And not only that, but also they put a human on it sometimes, right? He said, just go back and read this, y'all. I'm like, oh, shoot. But be very careful. You did not see Yahuwah's form on the day he spoke to you from the heart of the fire at Mount Sinai. So do not corrupt yourselves by making an idol in any form, whether of a man or a woman. And especially in Christianity and the Catholic community, what you got? You either got Jesus, you got the baby Jesus, or you got Mary, man or woman. Sometimes they put them both together, the mama and the baby. I'm just like, oh, Father, forgive us for our ignorance. Oh, because it says in here, we're going to read it. We're going to either get to it today. We're going to either get to it today or in the next couple of days, because I was reading here, I was listening ahead in the Legends of the Jews. And it talks about ignorance, which we know we can find that scripture in the regular canonized Bible. But it goes a little bit deeper into detail of being ignorant of Yahuwah's laws, right? He said he's going to get you just like you knew. Even if you don't know, because somebody amongst us should know, because it should have been being passed down, right? We should know. He said, even if we don't know, I'm gonna get you just like you knew, right? I'm just like, oh snap, because some people got this thing, oh, don't tell me, because if I don't know, I can't be held accountable. Oh, you are mistaken. He gonna get you just like you knew, if you knew. But be very careful. You did not see Yahuwah's form on the day he spoke to you from the heart of the fire at Mount Sinai. So do not corrupt yourselves by making an idol in any form, whether of a man or a woman, an animal on the ground, a bird in the sky, a small animal that scurries along the ground, or a fish in the deepest sea. And when you look up into the sky and see the sun and the moon and the stars, all the forces of heaven, do not be seduced into worshiping them. Some worship the stars, whether it's the Jewish star, the Baphomet star, whatever. All of it, everything you can think of. It's all of it. It's like, Father, they are doing everything that you told. Like they are picking out specific stuff and doing exactly what you told them not to do. Yahuwah your God gave them to all the peoples of the earth. Remember that Yahuwah rescued you from the iron smelting furnace of Egypt in order to make you his very own people and his special possession, which is what you are today. But Yahuwah was angry with me because of you. He vowed that I would not cross into the Jordan River, into the good land Yahuwah your God is giving you as your special possession. You will cross the Jordan to occupy the land, but I would not. Instead, I would die here on the east side of this river. So be careful not to break the covenant Yahuwah your God has made with you. Do not make idols in any shape or form, for Yahuwah your God has forbidden this. Yahuwah your God is a devouring fire. He is a jealous God. In the future, when you have children and grandchildren and have lived in a land a long time, do not corrupt yourselves by making idols of any kind. This is evil in the sight of Yahuwah, your God, and will arouse his anger. Today, I call on heaven and earth as witnesses against you. If you break my covenant, you will quickly disappear from the land you are crossing the Jordan to enter. You will live there only a short time. Then you will be utterly destroyed. For Yahuwah will scatter you among the nations where only a few of you will survive. There, in a foreign land, you will worship idols made from wood and stone, gods that neither see, nor hear, nor eat, nor smell. But from there, you will search again for Yahuwah your God. And if you search for him with all your heart and your soul, you will find him. Ain't that us? We didn't get kicked out the land. We got kicked out the land. He said, you ain't gonna do this here. You go on over here to the foreign land. They're gonna let you do whatever you want to do. Ain't that what we've been doing? Walk around here with big gold crosses around our necks, wood and stone, and carving all kind of stuff. I'm just like, it's like, y'all, when you see it, you can't unsee it. And it's like, oh my gosh, Father, forgive us. Because you know what? We stayed in captivity because we were doing it. We didn't even know, but we still being punished just like we knew. Just like we knew. We a prime example of that today, y'all. I'm telling y'all better get it together. Wake it up, people. He said, listen, today, I call on heaven and earth as witnesses against you. If you break my covenant, and we know our ancestors did, and some of us are still doing it today, that's why we're returning to this, right? If you break my covenant, you will quickly disappear from the land you are crossing the Jordan to occupy. You will live there only a short time. Then you will be utterly destroyed. For Yahuwah will scatter you among the nations where only a few of you will survive. There, in a foreign land, you will worship idols made of wood and from stone, gods that neither see, nor hear, nor eat, nor smell. But from there, you will search again for Yahuwah your God. And if you search for him with all your heart and your soul, you will find him. Y'all, we have found him again. Oh, I love it so much. In the distant future, he's talking about us. Look. In the distant future, when you are suffering all these things, you will finally return to Yahuwah your God and listen to what he tells you. For Yahuwah your God is a merciful God, and he will not abandon you or destroy you or forget the solemn covenant he made with your ancestors. The next section, there is only one God. Yeah, girl, Dana, I'm telling you, they pick out very, very specific things that Yahuwah has said, and they integrate that in flip everything around and now have the people doing the exact thing that Yahuwah said do not do. For y'all, they can't read. They should say interesting that they put JC with smell, talk, etc. I'm telling y'all people, y'all better pay attention. Yahuwah said, I am the only God for you. I don't care about what your friends doing down the street. They jump off a cliff, you gonna jump off a cliff too? And some of our dumb selves, well, if I didn't see the cliff, we doing that. Yahuwah said, no. I am the only mighty one for you, for Israel. I'm the only God for you. Matter of fact, I'm the only God, period. Matter of fact, when he was giving the Torah, listen, bruh, hold on, listen. You know how when you having a marriage ceremony, right? You having a wedding. You get up there, you got the groom, you got the bridegroom. Hold on, bridegroom, I think it's the groom and the bridegroom, the same thing. Anyway, you got the groom and you got the bride, right? And then you have the witnesses, right? So think about a few days ago, we was reading about the Torah, right? We had the mountain holding over the head, that whole video, right? So remember, Yahuwah, he's about to espouse us with the Torah, right? He's actually giving, let's just say it's Yahuwah, right? Yahuwah is the officiating minister, so to speak. The Torah would be the groom. We would be the bride, right? Yahuwah said, I've espoused you to the Torah, like this is, and I'm your mighty one, right? So it's like we have this, and then you have the whole host of witnesses that come to witness this event, right? It's that all of creation stood in the suspense of this moment of the generation that would accept the Torah, right? Because we all, from the very beginning, before the celestial light was put out in all of us, he showed all the nations this, right? So some of us, remember, we talked about having deja vu moments. Oh, what is that? No, it's because Yahuwah is allowing us to remember glimpses of things that we have formerly seen that's going to happen during the time that we walk the earth, right? So I said all that. We talking about there is no other God, right? So at this marriage ceremony, right? You know, at the time when you're getting married, there's a point where they say, if there is anyone out here that thinks that this man and this woman should not be joined, should not be wed in holy matrimony, speak now or forever hold your peace, right? Think about that. Boy, they doing everything. Like, if we don't know, we just miss it. Speak now or forever hold your peace. Is there anyone more worthy to take this bride and to take her than me right here? Let anybody, if anybody sees a reason, right? And it was also during this time where Yahuwah was espousing Israel with the Torah. He said, is there anybody? He said, matter of fact, the entire earth was present. Everybody from the seven earths, everybody from the seven heavens, everywhere, people dead, people alive, everybody, Yahuwah brought everybody there. Everybody witnessed this, right? He said, even the souls from future generations who are kept in the seventh heaven until Yahuwah sends them down into the loins of their father to be birthed into this realm. He said, even all of them were there. He said, let somebody speak. He said it was quiet. I think it was quiet for, it said how long it was quiet. He said, but there was no movement. It said the waves that make, even the waters didn't move. Everything was quiet. Nobody stood up. And so they should let us know, let that be known that there is no other God here on this earth. There is nobody else who is more powerful than me. Nobody can stand and take my place, right? I said all that to say, listen to this next section right here. There is only one God. Now search all of history from the time Yahuwah created people on the earth until now, and search from one end of the heavens to the other. Has anything as great as this ever been seen or heard before? Has any nation ever heard the voice of Yahuwah speaking from the fire as you did and survived? Has any other God dared to take a nation for himself out of another nation by means of trials, miraculous signs, wonders, war, a strong hand, a powerful arm, and terrifying acts? Yet that is what Yahuwah your God did for you in Egypt right before your eyes. He showed you these things so you would know that Yahuwah is God and there is no other. There is no other. There is no other. He let you hear his voice from heaven so he could instruct you. He let you see his great fire here on earth so he could speak to you from it. Because he loved your ancestors, he chose to bless their descendants, and he personally brought you out of Egypt with a great display of power. He drove out nations far greater than you so he could bring you in and give you their land as your special possession, as it is this day. So remember this and keep it firmly in mind. Yahuwah is God both in heaven and on earth, and there is no other. If you obey all these decrees and commands I am giving you today, all will be well with you and your children. I am giving you these instructions so that you will enjoy a long life in the land Yahuwah your God is giving you for all time. Then Moses set apart 3 cities of refuge east of the Jordan River. Anyone who killed another person unintentionally without previous hostility could flee there to live in safety. These were the cities: Bezer on the wilderness plateau for the tribe of Reuben, Ramoth and Gilead for the tribe of Gad, Golan and Bashan for the tribe of Manasseh. This is the body of instruction that Moses presented to the Israelites. These are the laws, decrees, and regulations that Moses gave to the people of Israel when they left Egypt and as they camped in the valley near Beth Peor, east of the Jordan River. This land was formerly occupied by the Amorites under King Sihon, who ruled from Heshbon. But Moses and the Israelites destroyed him and his people when they came up from Egypt. Israel took possession of this land and that of King Og of Bashan, the 2 Amorite kings east of the Jordan. So Israel conquered the entire area from Ar at the edge of the Arnon Gorge all the way to Mount Sirion, also called Mount Hermon. And they conquered the east bank of the Jordan River as far south as the Dead Sea, below the slopes of Pisgah. Okay, y'all, we're moving to the next chapter. Deuteronomy chapter 5. Moses called all the people of Israel together and said, "Listen carefully, Israel. Hear the decrees and regulations I am giving you today so that you may learn them and obey them. Yahuwah our God made a covenant with us at Mount Sinai. Yahuwah did not make this covenant with our ancestors, but with us, with all of us who are alive today. At the mountain, Yahuwah spoke to you face to face from the heart of the fire. I stood as an intermediary between you and Yahuwah, for you were afraid of the fire and did not want to approach the mountain. He spoke to me, and I passed his words on to you. This is what he said. I am Yahuwah your God who rescued you from the land of Egypt, the place of your slavery. You must not have any other God but me. You must not make for yourself an idol of any kind, or of an image of anything in the heavens or on the earth or in the sea. You must not bow down to them or worship them. For I, Yahuwah your God, am a jealous God who will not tolerate your affection for any other gods. I lay the sins of the parents upon their children. The entire family is affected, even the children and the 3rd and 4th generations of those who reject me. But I lavish unfailing love for 1,000 generations on those who love me and obey my commands. You must not misuse the name of Yahuwah your God. Yahuwah will not let you go unpunished if you misuse his name. Now, let me say something about the misuse of Yahuwah's name. Misusing of his name also encompasses doing away with his name. Just like we have our Bibles and they remove his name from the Holy Scrolls and they replace it with a general term, that's causing us to misuse his name and bring his name to ruin and causing people to forget it so we cannot call on it. That also means misusing his name by not speaking his name, right? So that's why I'm like, his name is Yahuwah. You hear me call him most holy because that's my affectionate term for him. Like you call your husband baby or sweetie or honey or baby doll or whatever. That's my affectionate term for the most holy, right? So just like you call him father or something like that. But we know his name. Matter of fact, he revealed his name to them. He said, don't misuse it. Don't bring it to ruin. Speak it. Matter of fact, you are the ones authorized to speak my name. And when you speak my name, I will come save you. It is truly by his name that we are saved, right? Okay, and not the name of another. You done hollered this other name all kinds of times, and some of y'all still didn't end up in the grave. Well, y'all that's in the grave, you ain't saying this now. So, but there's some that's been called on that name till they took their last dying breath, and they still went to the grave because some names are just powerless. You must not misuse the name of Yahuwah, your God. Yahuwah will not let you go unpunished if you misuse his name. Observe the Sabbath day by keeping it holy. As Yahuwah, your God has commanded you. You have 6 days each week for your ordinary work, but the seventh day is a Sabbath day of rest dedicated to Yahuwah, your God. On that day, no one in your household may do any work. This includes you, your sons and your daughters, your male and your female servants, your oxen and donkeys and other livestock, and any foreigners living among you. All your male and female servants must rest as you do. Remember that you were once slaves in Egypt, but Yahuwah your God brought you out with a strong and powerful arm. This is why Yahuwah your God has commanded you to rest on the Sabbath day. Honor your father and your mother as Yahuwah your God has commanded you. Then you will live long and a full life in the land Yahuwah your God is giving you. Now that right there, I preach a sermon in itself, y'all. I'm telling you, when you honor your father and your mother, you get to keep your life. It don't matter how horrible you think they are. You need to go to Yahuwah and hash that out. But Yahuwah, there's a section specifically talking about this. He said, I don't care who they are. They're like my representatives. They're like me walking the earth. You wouldn't dare do this to me. Don't you dare raise your hand or your voice to your parents. I don't care how bad you think they are. Because when you do, your life begins to show that you inwardly, my dear friend, are a vagabond. You are found wanting. You need to check yourself before you wreck yourself. I'm just saying. Okay. I know that's like real old and that's corny, but I just said it anyway. Honor your father and your mother as Yahuwah, the Lord your God has commanded you. Then you will live a long, full life in the land Yahuwah your God is giving you. You must not murder. You must not commit adultery. You must not steal. You must not testify falsely against your neighbor. You must not covet your neighbor's wife. You must not covet your neighbor's house or land, male or female, servant, ox or donkey, or anything else that belongs to your neighbor. Yahuwah spoke all these words to you all assembled there at the foot of the mountain. He spoke with a loud voice from the heart of the fire, surrounded by clouds and deep darkness. This was all he said at that time, and he wrote his words on 2 stone tablets, and he gave them to me. But when you heard the voice from the heart of the darkness, while the mountain was blazing with fire, all your tribal leaders and elders came to me. They said, look, Yahuwah, our God has shown us his greatness and glory, and we have heard his voice from the fire. Today we have seen that Yahuwah can speak to us humans, and yet we live. But why now should we risk death again? If Yahuwah our God speaks to us again, we will certainly die and be consumed by this awesome fire. Hold on. Y'all remember the details on this and what happened when he spoke to them, right? So y'all remember when he said, listen to what they're saying. Like if y'all not paying attention to what this is saying, you won't even realize something from the story is missing. Listen, it says, today we have seen that Yahuwah can speak to us humans and yet we live. But now why should we risk death again? Why? Yes, Dana, they got blew back. It said when Yahuwah spoke to them, the entire encampment blew back at a distance of 12 miles, right? It was like an atomic bomb had been set off. And you ever watch movies, a bomb, and everybody like fly back? It's like when his voice hit, the entire encampment of Israel, all that glory, they could not sustain it. And they blew back at a distance of 12 miles. And the Torah came before Yahuwah. He said, oh, most holy one of all the earth, who did you give me to, the living or the dead? He said, the living. He said, all these people are dead. He said, don't worry, my G. I'm going to sprinkle some of this dew on them that I'm saving up for the day of resurrection. He said, I'm going to go ahead and sprinkle a little bit on them, bring them back. Right? So that's what had happened here, y'all. That was not even added. A lot of that story we see. That's why we're going through. We reading it, right? When you got all the pieces, it just makes so much more sense, So that's what had just happened here, right? But when you came and heard from the heart of the darkness, while the mountain was blazing with fire, all your tribal leaders and elders came to me. They said, "Look, Yahuwah our God has shown us his glory and greatness, and we have heard his voice from the heart of the fire. Today we have seen that Yahuwah can speak to us humans, and yet we live." Yes, he brought them back to life. He sprinkled some of that resurrection dew on them. They got a foretaste of what was coming in our generation here, right? But now, why should we risk death again? If Yahuwah our God speak with us again, we will certainly die and be consumed by this awesome fire. Can any living thing hear the voice of Yahuwah, the living God, from the heart of the fire as we did and yet survive? Go yourself and listen to what Yahuwah, the Lord our God, says. Then come and tell us everything he tells you, and we will listen and obey. Listen. Because we know at first it was like, no, Moses, no, we want to hear him ourselves. You would say, all right, I'm coming. Tell them to get ready. He said, tell the husbands don't have sex with their wives. Y'all prepare for 3 days. He said, because I'm coming with all my holy retinue and I'm coming in all my glory. Y'all want to see me face to face? Like this is why it says no one can see the face of Yah and live. Although he spoke to his friend face to face and he didn't die because he was, who prepared him for that. And may it be unto us as he did unto his friend and spoke to him face to face. May he consider our generation his friends, right? All of those that are returning. It's like we learning about all this, right? We familiarizing ourselves with the story, and it's like, man, we wish we had that. What? You said what? Okay. We know what's coming. Okay, can you do this again for us? We won't be like them. You can come show us. Just prepare us what we need to do. Okay, remember all these shenanigans? We ain't gonna do this. Okay, but before you come, just forgive us now because we want to be here. We ain't gonna do what they did and be like, boom, we see your glory, fly back 12 miles and let us fly back 12 miles. Toss some of that dew on us, right? It's like, I want it all. I want it all. Give it to us. But everything that they did wrong, we're going to get it right. We're going to get it right. You just got to help us, right? Because we look ignorant sometimes. Hold on. Yo, blow that wig back. Okay. Head wraps, everything be all over. Head wraps, everything be all scattered everywhere. Like, yes, do it again. We want to hear your voice. Moses, we done heard your voice, but we don't want to do that. We want to hear it again. Bring it one more time. All right. Okay. Listen. Let me just read this again. I know I didn't read this like twice, but I'll read it again. It's so good. But when you heard the voice from the heart of the darkness, while the mountain was blazing with fire, all your tribal leaders and elders came to me. They said, look, Yahuwah your God has shown us his glory and greatness, and we have heard his voice from the heart of the fire. Today we have seen that Yahuwah can speak to us humans, and yet we live. But now, why should we risk death again? If Yahuwah our God speak to us again, we will certainly die and be consumed by this awesome fire. Can any living thing hear the voice of the living God from the heart of the fire as we did and survive? Go yourself and listen to what Yahuwah our God says, and come tell us everything he tells you, and we will listen and obey. Yahuwah heard the request you made of me, and he said, I have heard what the people said to you, and they are right. Oh, that they would always have hearts like this, that they might fear me and obey all my commands. If they did, and their descendants, if they did, they and their descendants will prosper forever. Oh, may it be unto us as he has said right here. If they did, they and their descendants would prosper forever. Go and tell them, return to your tents. But you stay here with me so I can give you all my commands, decrees, and regulations. You must teach them to the people so they can obey them in the land that I am giving them as their possession. So Moses told the people, you must be careful to obey all the commands of Yahuwah your God, following his instructions in every detail. Stay on the path that Yahuwah your God has commanded you to follow. Then you will live long and prosperous lives in the lands you are about to enter and occupy. Oh, bruh. It's so good. They were shook. Yes. Dana, hold on. Oh yeah. I'm checking the comments over here. You're right. I got my phone kind of covering up the YouTube comments. I'm sorry, y'all. Okay. So I want to have Facebook. I really do need to get my stand for my phone, so I ain't got to do all that. I'm gonna work on pulling that out this week. I just got to go on my box and all my equipment. Okay, last chapter for the day. Then we'll hop over to the Legends of the Jews. Deuteronomy chapter 6. These are the commands, decrees, and regulations that Yahuwah your God commanded me to teach you. You must obey them in the land you are about to enter and occupy, and you and your children and grandchildren must fear Yahuwah your God as long as you live. If you obey all his decrees and commands, you will enjoy a long life. Listen closely, Israel, and be careful to obey. Then all will go well with you, and you will have many children in the land flowing with milk and honey, just as Yahuwah, the God of your ancestors, promised you. Listen, O Israel, Yahuwah our God, Listen, O Israel, Yahuwah is our God, the Lord alone. You must love Yahuwah your God with all your heart, all your soul, and with all your strength. And you must commit yourselves wholeheartedly to these commands I am giving you today. Repeat them again and again to your children. Talk about them when you are at home and when you are on the road, when you are going to bed and when you are getting up. Tie them on your hands and wear them about your foreheads as reminders. Write them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Yahuwah, your God, will soon bring you into the land he swore to give you when he made a vow to your ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. It is a land with large, prosperous cities that you did not build. The houses will be richly stocked with goods you did not produce. You will draw water from cisterns you did not dig, and you will eat from vineyards and olive trees you did not plant. When you have eaten your fill in this land, be careful not to forget Yahuwah, your God, who rescued you from the slavery in the land of Egypt. You must fear Yahuwah, your God, and serve him. When you take an oath, you must use only his name. He didn't say it in the name of JC. I'm telling y'all, we just as ignorant as we want to be. Ignorant and dying. You must fear Yahuwah, your God, and serve him. When you take an oath, or you can also say a prayer, you must use only his name. You must not worship any of the gods of neighboring nations, for Yahuwah, your God who lives among you, is a jealous God. His anger will flare up against you, and he will wipe you from the face of the earth. You must not test Yahuwah, your God, as you did when you complained at Massa. You must diligently obey the commands of Yahuwah, your God, all the laws and decrees he has given you. Do what is right and good in Yahuwah's sight, so all will go well with you. Then you will enter and occupy the good land that Yahuwah swore to give your ancestors. You will drive out all the enemies in the land, just as Yahuwah said you would. In the future, your children will ask you, what is the meaning of these laws, decrees, and regulations Yahuwah, our God, has commanded us? Then you must tell them, oh yes, I'm going back up here. Hold on. Listen to it. Yahuwah your God will soon bring you into the land he swore to give you when he made a vow to your ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. It is a land with large, prosperous cities that you did not build. The houses will be richly stocked with goods that you did not produce. You will draw water from cisterns you did not dig, and you will eat from vineyards and olive trees you did not plant. When you have eaten your fill in this land, be careful not to forget Yahuwah, who rescued you from the slavery in the land of Egypt. You must fear Yahuwah your God and serve him. When you take an oath, you must only use his name. When you take an oath, you must only use his name. Whose name? Everybody say it. Yahuwah's name. In Yahuwah's name we pray. Or in the name of the most holy one of Israel, Yahuwah, we pray. Father, in your name we ask all these things. In Yahuwah's name we pray these blessings on your people. You must not worship any of the gods of the neighboring nations, for Yahuwah your God who lives among you is a jealous God. His anger will flare up against you, and he will wipe you from the face of the earth. You must not test Yahuwah your God as you did when you complained at Massa. You must diligently obey the commands of Yahuwah your God. All the laws and decrees he has given you. Do what is right and good in Yahuwah's sight, so all will go well with you. Then you will enter and occupy the good land that Yahuwah swore to give to your ancestors. You will drive out all the enemies living in the land, just like Yahuwah said you would. In the future, your children will ask you, what are the meaning of these laws, decrees, and regulations that Yahuwah our God has commanded us to obey? Then you must tell them, we were Pharaoh's slaves in Egypt, but Yahuwah brought us out of Egypt with his strong hand. Yahuwah did miraculous signs and wonders before our eyes, dealing terrifying blows against Egypt and Pharaoh and all his people. He brought us out of Egypt so he could give us this land he had sworn to give our ancestors. And Yahuwah our God commanded us to obey all these decrees and to fear him so he can continue to bless us and preserve our lives as he has done this day. For we will be counted as righteous when we obey all the commands Yahuwah our God has given us. Boom. All right. So that is the reading for today. That it was Deuteronomy 4, 5, and 6. So let's go ahead and hop on over here to the LOJ, Legends of the Jews. All right, beautiful people. Oh, let me tell y'all something. I don't know what, I mentioned this before. I don't know what's going on with the kidnapping of these babies. Now, this one, it was another, yesterday. It happened in Tampa, Florida, y'all. I didn't get an alert to my phone, but I just happened to pick up my phone and open up Facebook. I guess for like the first time yesterday after I had got done doing some work. And what is up there? As soon as I open it, another Amber Alert. This time, a mom. You know how you go to the store? This is something I learned to do early. You go to the store and you make groceries and you got little children. Here's what she did. She had just come from the store, grocery shopping. She lived in a house in the neighborhood, pulled into her driveway. Apparently, she left the car running with the keys in. So she opened the door and I was like, wait a minute, how? But I know we can do that because we can start up our vehicle and we can take our keys out, right? So we can leave it running, but we'll lock the doors or whatever, but we won't leave our children in there. What she did, she went to the house. The baby was 1 year old. So the baby was asleep in the back seat in his car seat. And instead of taking the baby out the car into the house first, she decided she would take the groceries in first. It said in the little article that she didn't want to wake the baby. So she was taking the groceries in the house. I'm not sure if her husband was there, but her husband was mentioned or whatever. But she went to take her groceries in the house. She came back, her vehicle was gone, along with her baby, right? So I'm just like, what in the world? So immediately, you know me, busting a prayer, and I prayed, pray. I'm like, Father, arrest this person immediately. When I say arrest, not necessarily, they need to be arrested by the cops. But when you hear me say that, arrest this person immediately, I'm talking about all the forces of heaven here on the earth at this time. Arrest that person spiritually and stop them, right? And I prayed that the baby would be found this day. So apparently it had been a couple hours. Sometimes they start looking for kids. But the Amber Alert doesn't go out till later, maybe a couple hours later, because they're searching. Then, okay, the baby is truly missing. Clearly, we know that somebody stole your vehicle. And so it went out, but an hour later, got the update that the baby was found safe a few miles away, right? A few miles away, still in the vehicle, in the car seat, right? Vehicle was found a few miles away. So apparently, clearly, the thief wasn't thinking, oh my gosh, there's going to be a baby back here. I'm going to go ahead and steal this car. No, look, thieves, they want to steal stuff. They don't want to catch kidnapping charges too. Not that but I don't doubt that other people was praying, but it's just what is going on with the kidnapping of the babies? Parents, y'all really need to be more aware. We need to be more aware of our surroundings and what we're doing. Of course, they look like they live in a good neighborhood. It didn't look like anybody would ever come steal their vehicle, right? But it's just little small things like that we got to be mindful of. If you have small children and you have to run into the store and you don't want to take them out, you either leave them home with the other parent or responsible adult or an older child who is of babysitting agents, who is responsible. This is your most precious possession here on the earth, the children that Yahuwah has entrusted you with. They are on loan to you from him. They don't really belong to you for real, for real. They belong to him, and if you can't, that's like, you're standing in improper watch with your children. You don't leave them in a vehicle while it's running when other vagabond human beings are possibly walking around. And she thought she was in a safe place. She was at her home in her driveway, right? Somebody still, an opportunist found her. Opportunity found her that day. But blessed be the most holy that baby was found safe and still in the vehicle, not touched, And a lot of times it doesn't end that way for people. Y'all got to wake up. Y'all got to realize what day we're living in, right? And if you can be found wanting, that want is going to find you. And it's going to take whatever it can from you. So y'all need to tighten up. I'm not y'all, you know what I'm saying? But if you do, tighten up. Me too. I'm just like, oh my gosh. So I'm like, Father, just keep us, because there's only so much preparing and preparation that we can do. And Yahuwah has to take care of the rest. He said, listen, you do what I said. He said, don't worry about the unseen things. I'll take care of the rest. I'll take care of the hidden things that are out of your control. But we're standing in improper watch on the things that we can't control. We're going to find ourselves on the other side of that fence wanting. Don't let that be you. Okay. We are in Volume 3, Chapter 4, Legends of the Jews. The section is Aaron and Miriam slander Moses. I started talking about this a little bit yesterday. But this is really good. We get the deeper details of why Miriam was stricken with leprosy, right? So let's go ahead and get to it. It's page 320. If you got the bigger book like I do, in the section is Aaron and Miriam slander Moses. When the 70 elders were appointed, the spirit of Yahuwah came upon them. All the women lighted the candles of joy to celebrate by this illumination the elevation of these men to the dignity of prophets. Let me read that again. Listen. When the 70 elders were appointed, the spirit of Yahuwah came upon them. All the women lighted candles of joy to celebrate by this illumination the elevation of these men to the dignity of prophets. Zipporah, Moses' wife, saw the illumination and asked Miriam to explain it. She told her the reason and added, listen, I'm going to read this again. Zipporah, Moses' wife, Betwabu, Moses' wife, saw the illumination and asked Miriam to explain it. She told her the reason and added, blessed are the women who behold with their eyes how their husbands are raised to dignity. Zipporah answered, it would be more proper to say, woe to the wives of these men who must now abstain from all conjugal happiness. Listen, I'm going to read it again. Zipporah was a little ticked because, I'm going to just read. Let me see if y'all pick it up. Let me see if you pick it up. Let me just read it again, just in case y'all weren't paying attention. Listen. When the 70 elders were appointed, the spirit of Yahuwah came upon them. All the women lighted candles of joy to celebrate by this illumination the elevation of these men to the dignity of prophets. Zipporah, Moses' wife, saw the illumination and asked Miriam to explain it. She told her the reason and added, blessed are the women who behold with their eyes how their husbands are raised to dignity. Zipporah answered, it would be more proper to say, woe to the wives of these men who must now abstain from all conjugal happiness. Miriam, how dost thou know this? Zipporah, I judge so from the conduct of thy brother. For ever since he was chosen to receive divine revelations, he no longer knows his wife. So, from the time Yahuwah dropped the wisdom on Moses and everything he was doing, he was not having sex with Zipporah. He was not having sex with his wife, right? She was a little ticked about that. That's why she said, no, it would be better to say woe to the wives because they ain't gonna be able to have sex no more. but listen. Miriam hereupon went to Aaron and said to him, I also received divine revelations, but without being obliged to separate myself from my husband. Whereupon Aaron agreed, saying, I too received divine revelations, without, however, being obliged to separate myself from my wife. Then both said, our fathers also received revelations, but without discontinuing their conjugal life. They was like, well, Yahuwah gives us revelations, and and he didn't tell us to stop having sex with our husband or with our wife. Our forefathers, they got wisdom. They didn't have to stop having sex. Listen. Then both said, our fathers also received revelations, but without discontinuing their conjugal life. Moses abstains from conjugal joys only out of pride to show how holy of a man he is. Not only did they speak evil of Moses to each other, but hastened to him and told him to his face their opinion of his conduct. But he, who could be self-assured and stern when it touched the matter of concerning Yahuwah's glory, was silent to the undeserved reproach they heaped upon him, knowing that upon Yahuwah's bidding he had forsworn earthly pleasures. Therefore, Yahuwah said, Moses is very meek and pays no attention to the injustice meted out to him, as he did when my glory was detracted from, and boldly stepped forth and exclaimed, who is on Yahuwah's side? Let him come unto me. I will therefore now stand by him. It is quite true that this was not the only occasion on which Moses proved himself humble and gentle, for it was part of his character. Never among mortals, counting even the three patriarchs, was there more meek a man than he. The angels alone excelled him in humility, but no human being. For the angels are so humble and meek that when they assemble to praise Yahuwah, each angel calls to the other and asks him to precede him, saying among themselves, be thou the first, thou art worthier than I. Yahuwah carried out his intention to uphold Moses' honor, for just as Aaron was with his wife and Miriam with her husband, a divine call suddenly reached Amram's three children. Oh my gosh, let's hold on. Y'all probably didn't catch what he just said. Hold on. Let me read again. Yahuwah carried out his intention to uphold Moses' honor. For just as Aaron was with his wife and Miriam with her husband, a divine call suddenly reached Amram's three children. One voice that simultaneously called Aaron, Moses, and Miriam, a miracle that Yahuwah's voice alone can perform. Like he called them at the same time. Like he said, Aaron, but while saying Aaron, Moses, and Miriam could be heard at the same time. It was like he said one word, Moses, but you heard all three names being said at the same time, where he just said one, but he said all three of them at the same time. Y'all get it. A miracle that Yahuwah's voice alone can perform. The call went to Moses also, that the people might not think that Aaron and Miriam had been chosen to take Moses' place. He was ready to hearken to Yahuwah's words, but not so his brother and sister, who had been surprised in the state of uncleanliness, and who therefore, upon hearing Yahuwah's call, cried, water, water, that they might purify themselves before appearing before Yahuwah. Hold on, let me read that next sentence. So let me see if y'all caught that. Then they left their tents and followed the voice until Yahuwah appeared in the pillar of cloud, a distinction that was conferred also upon Samuel. So y'all know what happened? What was they doing when Yahuwah called them? Like, what were they accusing Moses of? They was like, look, you need Moses, bro. You need to go have sex with your wife. Yahuwah, he getting us revelation, but he ain't told us to stop having sex with our spouse. So you need to go in there and get Zipporah right, So Moses, he just stood there and said, he didn't even defend himself. And when Yahuwah saw this, he said, you know what? I'm going to stand by Moses' side, just like he stood by me when they was committing shenanigans with the calf on the mountain. And he said, whoever's on Yahuwah's side, come stand over here by me. Like, you had enough boldness and enough courage to know that all this destruction is about to go down, that Yahuwah is going to let you live. All those who are on Yahuwah's side, come stand by me, right? He said, so just like he stood by me, I'm going to stand by him. So anybody got, at the point in time he called Miriam and Aaron, if you ain't catch it, they were having sex with their spouse. It said it caught them off guard. It caught them off guard. And they said, water, water. Let me read it again. Pay attention this time, y'all. Y'all got to pay attention. Listen. Yahuwah carried out his intention to uphold Moses' honor, for just as Aaron was with his wife and Miriam with her husband. Tell us in the first sentence, they was in their tents getting it out. Listen. Yahuwah waited. I'm sure he probably gave them the feeling like, come on, let's go in here and make some babies, right? Both of them, they was with their respective spouses, at the same time. And I'm sure it's orchestrated by Yah that it happened this way so he can catch them right in the middle of that. Like, oh, what? He calling us now? Like, he don't know what we doing. Look, because when you about to meet him, you got to purify yourself. Think about when he said, listen, go tell the people to purify themselves. In 3 days, I'm coming. Tell the husbands not to go into their wives, right? Because what happens? You become unclean until evening. You about to make both of y'all about to be unclean until evening, right? So he said 3 days, hold it up. Y'all ain't gonna die 3 days. Don't come into your wives, right? Don't partake in sexual activity. You need to be holy. Because for whatever reason, when we do that, we're kind of like, it's unclean. I can't really explain it to you on why. I ain't gonna try, but he just said don't do it, right? At this particular time. So if he tell you abstain from that because of whatever he want to meet with you, just know it's probably some special revelation or whatever. You about to come into the divine presence of the holy, so just say, hey, most holy want to talk to us, so we got to chill out for a couple of days and okay, we ready, let's go, right? Okay, listen. Yahuwah carried out his intention and I ain't saying that y'all go use this against y'all spouse. Y'all get what I'm saying. Y'all do it with common sense, y'all. Yahuwah carried out his intention to uphold Moses' honor, for just as Aaron was with his wife and Miriam with her husband, a divine call suddenly reached Amram's 3 children, one voice that simultaneously called Aaron, Moses, and Miriam, a miracle that Yahuwah's voice alone can perform. The call went to Moses also, that the people might not think that Aaron and Miriam had been chosen to take Moses' place. He was ready to hearken to Yahuwah's words, but not so his brother and sister. Like Moses, like, I'm ready all the time. I done took this vow of abstinence. I'm ready to go. You call me anytime. Here I am. He was ready to hearken to Yahuwah's words, but not so his brother and sister, who had been surprised in the state of uncleanness, and who thereupon hearing Yahuwah's call cried, water, water, that they might purify themselves before appearing before Yahuwah. They then left their tents and followed the voice until Yahuwah appeared in a pillar of a cloud, a distinction that was conferred also upon Samuel. Like he said, you know what? All 3 of y'all, right here, right now. And he showed up. Like, he was always coming here. At what point did he need to lock himself into the prison that he locked us into, right? There was no time where he needed to do that, when he was always showing up anyway. But we don't know, they won't read. Okay. Then they left their tents and followed the voice until Yahuwah appeared in a pillar of a cloud, a distinction that was conferred also upon Samuel. The pillar of cloud did not, however, appear in the tabernacle where it always rested whenever Yahuwah revealed himself to Moses, as this was due to the following reasons. First of all, Yahuwah did not want to create the impression of having removed Moses from his dignity and of giving it to his brother and sister. Hence, he did not appear to them in the holy place. At the same time, moreover, Aaron was spared the disgrace of being reproached by Yahuwah in his brother's presence, for Moses did not follow his brother and sister, but awaited Yahuwah's word in the sanctuary. But there was still another reason why Yahuwah did not want Moses to be present during his conference with him. Never praise a man to his face. As Yahuwah wanted to praise Moses before Aaron and Miriam, he preferred to do so in his absence. Hardly had Yahuwah addressed Aaron and Miriam when he began to interrupt them, whereupon he said to them, "Pray, contain yourselves until I have spoken." In these words, he taught the people the rule of politeness, never to interrupt. He then said, "Since the creation of the world, hath the word of Yahuwah ever appeared to any prophet otherwise in a dream? Not so with Moses, to whom I have shown what is above and what is below, what is before and what is behind, what was and what will be. To him I have revealed all that is in the water and all that is upon the dry land. To him did I confide the sanctuary and set him above the angels. I myself ordered him to abstain from conjugal life, and the word he received was revealed to him clearly and not in dark speeches. He saw the divine presence from behind when it passed by him. Wherefore then were you not afraid to speak against a man like Moses, who is moreover my servant?" You see how we miss all these in-between pieces that would help us to make more sense of what's going on. And we just get this little piece. Why were you not afraid to speak against my servant Moses, right? It's like they spoke against him. Then Yahuwah said, they left out all his other conversation, everything he said, and said, "Why were you not afraid?" But let's reread what he said before he said that. Listen. Hardly had Yahuwah addressed Aaron and Miriam when they began to interrupt him. Like, how you interrupt the most holy day? They told, wait a minute, let me tell you what happened. You don't do that to y'all. Hardly had Yahuwah addressed Aaron and Miriam when they began to interrupt him, whereupon he said to them, "Pray, contain yourselves until I have spoken." In these words, he taught people the rules of politeness, never to interrupt. He then said, "Since the creation of the world, hath the word of Yahuwah ever appeared to any prophet otherwise than in a dream? Not so with Moses, to whom I have shown what is above and what is below, what is before and what is behind, what was and what will be. To him I have revealed all that is in the water and all that is upon the dry land. To him that I confide the sanctuary and set him above the angels. I myself ordered him to abstain from conjugal life, and the word he received was revealed to him clearly and not in dark speeches. When he saw the divine presence from behind, he saw the divine presence from behind when it passed by him. Wherefore then were you not afraid to speak against a man like Moses, who moreover is my servant? Your censure is directed to me rather than to him. For the receiver is no better than the thief. And if Moses is not worthy of his calling, I, his master, deserve censure. Whew. Their spirit should have just left their body right then and there. Now we're going to the section about Miriam's punishment, and then we're going to end it for the day. Y'all got to listen to this, because both of them were punished. Aaron and Miriam were punished, but they take out the part about Aaron being punished, and they just left it in about Miriam, right? They were both in the wrong. Yahuwah now gently rebuked Aaron and Miriam for their transgression, and did not give vent to his wrath until he had shown them their sin. This was an example to man never to show anger to his neighbor before giving his reason for his anger. The effects of Yahuwah's wrath were shown. Oh, I hear. Babe! Okay, you're going to have to hurry up because he's going to bust you in the street. Then he's going to come to the side to get ours. I'm sorry, y'all. Trash day. Jeremiah didn't take it out last night. I told him you need to be up early, and I forgot about it. He go to truck. I hear him upstairs. Y'all can hear him. Okay. The effects of Yahuwah's wrath were shown as soon as he had departed from them. For while he was with them, his mercy exceeded his anger, and nothing happened to them. But when he was not long with them, but when he was not long gone from them, punishment set in. Both Aaron and Miriam became leprous. For this is the punishment ordained for those who speak ill of their neighbors. Aaron's leprosy, however, lasted for a moment only. For his sin had not been as great as that of his sister, who started the talk against Moses. His disease vanished as soon as he looked upon his leprosy. Not so with Miriam. Aaron in vain tried to direct his eyes upon her leprosy, and in this way to heal her, for in her case the effect was the reverse. As soon as he looked upon her, the leprosy increased, and nothing remained but to call for Moses' assistance, who was ready to give before being called upon. Who was ready to give it before being called upon. Yes, you just read that right. Aaron looked at himself, and his leprosy was healed. And he tried to perform the same act for Miriam, but the longer he looked at her, hers just increased. And said it had the reverse effect. He was not able to heal her, right? You got to think, they was giving gifts, y'all. They were giving gifts. Not all the gifts were taken. Most of them were, but not all of them, right? Listen. I read it again. His disease vanished as soon as he looked upon his leprosy. Not so with Miriam. Aaron in vain tried to direct his eyes upon her leprosy, and in this way to heal her, for in her case the effect was the reverse. As soon as he looked upon her, the leprosy increased, and nothing remained but to call for Moses' assistance, who was ready to give it before being called upon. Aaron therefore, turned to his brother with the following words. Think not that the leprosy is on Miriam's body only. It is as if they were on the body of our father Amram, whose flesh and blood she is. Aaron did not, however, try to extenuate their sin, saying to Moses, have we, Miriam and I, ever done harm to a human being? Moses, no. Aaron, if we have done evil to no strange people, how then can thou believe that we wish to harm thee? For a moment only did we forget ourselves and acted in an unnatural way toward our brother. Shall we therefore lose our sister? If Miriam's leprosy doth not now vanish, she must pass all her life as a leper. For only a priest who is not a relative by blood of the leper may under certain conditions declare her clean. But all the priests, my sons and I, are her relatives by blood. The life of a leper is as one of dead, for as a corpse makes unclean all that comes in contact with it, so too the leper. Alas, so Aaron closed his intercession. Shall our sister, who was with us in Egypt, who with us intoned the song at the Red Sea, who took upon herself the instruction of the women while we instructed the men, shall she now, while we were about to leave the desert and enter the promised land, sit shut out from the camp? These words of Aaron, however, were quite superfluous, for Moses had determined, as soon as his sister became diseased, to intercede for her with Yahuwah, saying to himself, it is not right that my sister should suffer, and I dwell in contentment. He now drew a circle about himself, stood up, and said a short prayer, which he closed with the words, I will not go from this spot until thou shalt have healed my sister. Oh my gosh, I just thought about something. Okay. Okay. All right, let me keep reading. Hold on. These words of Aaron, however, were quite superfluous, for Moses had determined, as soon as his sister became diseased, to intercede for her with you, who was saying to himself, it is not right that my sister should suffer, and I dwell in contentment. He now drew a circle about himself, stood up, and said a short prayer to Yahuwah, which he closed with the words, I will not go from this spot until thou shalt have healed my sister. But if thou do not heal her, I myself shall do so, for thou hast already revealed to me how leprosy arises and how it disappears. This prayer was fervently spoken with his whole heart and soul, though very brief. He had spoken long, some would say. His sister is suffering terribly, and he, without heeding her, spends his time in prayer. Others again would say he prayeth long for his sister, but for us he prayeth briefly. Yahuwah said to Moses, why dost thou shout so? Moses, I know what suffering my sister is enduring. Remember the chain which my hand was chained? For I myself once suffered from this disease. Yahuwah, if a king or if a father had but spit in her face, should she not be ashamed 7 days? I, the King of Kings, have spit in her face, and she should be ashamed at least twice 7 days. For thy sake shall 7 days be pardoned her, but the other 7 days let her be shut out of the camp, for want of a priest who, according to the tenets of the law, must declare a leper clean after the healing. Yahuwah himself assumed this part, declaring Miriam unclean for a week and clean after the passing of that period. Although leprosy came to Miriam as a punishment for her sin, still this occasion served how to show how eminent a personage she was. For the people were breaking camp and starting on the march when, having after saddled her beast of burden for the march, upon turning to see the pillar of cloud moving before them, they missed the sight of it. They looked again to see if Moses and Aaron were in the line of procession, but they were missing. Nor was there anywhere to be seen a trace of the well that accompanied them on their marches. Hence, they were obliged to return again to camp, where they remained until Miriam was healed. The clouds and the well, the sanctuary, and the 60 myriads of people all had to wait a week in this spot until Miriam recovered. Then the pillar of the cloud moved once more, and the people knew that they had not been permitted to proceed on their march only because of this pious prophetess. This was a reward for the kind deed Miriam had done when the child Moses was thrown into the water. Then Miriam for some time walked up and down along the shore to await the child's fate. And for this reason did the people wait for her, nor could they move until she had recovered. Oh my gosh. That is good. That is so good. Yahuwah meets out punishment measure for measure and reward measure for measure. So just like it, y'all, it's the whole story. I'm about to get teary-eyed, And it just explained it, but I'm just thinking about all of it together now and how Yahuwah showed her the same kindness as she did. And although she spoke against him because, Zipporah hyped her up a little bit like, oh my gosh, sis, let me go talk to my brother, And so, but Yahuwah said the entire encampment waited for her until he made her clean again, just like she walked up and down them shores looking for her brother, whom her mother had put out into the water. Said that's why Massa, Moses' name means water, right? She walked up and down that water to see what would happen to her brother, right? And so just like she waited for him, Moses stood before the Most Holy. He stood before the Most Holy, drew a circle around himself, stood in the middle of this circle and said, oh, Most Holy, if you don't heal her, you've already revealed to me how this is done. So Moses, if Yahuwah wasn't going to do it, Moses was going to do it, right? So he said, you've already revealed to me how this is done. He had already started the process. That's why I paused for a second, because I saw what he was about to do. Like I missed that part the couple times that I listened to. I'm like, wait a minute. Because I understand some things that I don't necessarily talk about a lot here. And I know what I saw what he was about to do. He was about to perform this himself to heal his sister. But he showed Yahuwah the honor and respect, to the grandmaster teacher of all things. He said, you can do this. He said, but if you don't, you've already, let me go back. He said, you've already showed me how this can happen, right? Hold on, listen. Right here. These words of Aaron, however, were quite superfluous, for Moses had determined, as soon as his sister became diseased, to intercede for her with Yahuwah, saying to himself, it is not right that my sister should suffer and I dwell in contentment. He now drew a circle about himself, stood up and said a short prayer to Yahuwah, and closed it with the words, I will not go from this spot until thou have healed my sister. But if thou wilt not heal her, I myself shall do so, for thou hast already revealed to me how leprosy arises and how it disappears. I'm like, oh, let me tell you something. Not a lot of people can get away with conversating with the most holy like that, right? Anybody else like, mama smack you into tomorrow. How dare you? But Moses' heart was pure. That's what we got to remember about Moses. So Yahuwah allowed him free reign, knowing that he would not abuse the reign, but he loved his sister and his sister loved him, so Yahuwah, in his kindness and in his mercy, he showed the same kindness to his sister that she once showed to him, on the day of his possible death. Like, we wouldn't be like Miriam is the reason. Let's just say Miriam is the reason why we're all free today. She was the one out there watching for this boy's life, and so Yahuwah could not, he does not forget a kind deed. He always pays kind deeds with kind deeds, right? And so you might need to bank up. You might need to bank a lot of kind deeds, because you never know where in the future where you may need that, especially if you slide off the road somewhere. We're gonna check. Ring the list. What he got stored up? Okay, that right there. Go ahead, save them. Okay, y'all. So with that being said, that was the reading for today. That was Deuteronomy 4, 5, and 6, and Legends of the Jews. We started on page 320, and we stopped on page 323. And we'll pick this up tomorrow. It just keeps getting better and better, y'all. So I hope y'all enjoyed it. I just said it all. Deuteronomy 4, 5, and 6, Legends of the Jews, 320 to 323. It is February 17, 2021, Wednesday, day 80 of year 3 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets, and of the 3-year consecutive day count, day 749. All right, so let's hop on over here to the blessing, which is found in Numbers chapter 6, verses 22 through 27. Remember, the first 21 verses is the Nazirite vow. Oh, no. Sorry, I opened the shimmer back up. Okay. And Yahuwah spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto Aaron and unto his sons, saying, On this wise ye shall bless the children of Israel, saying unto them, May Yahuwah bless us and keep us. May Yahuwah make his face to shine upon us and be gracious unto us. May Yahuwah lift up his countenance upon us and give us his peace. And they shall put my name upon the children of Israel, and I will bless them. All right, beautiful people. That is it for today. We are out here. I don't see any more questions or anything. You're welcome. You're welcome. Yes, Yahuwah is a merciful Father. May he continue to be ever merciful to us all. All right, you beautiful people. I love y'all. I see y'all bright and early in the morning, 7:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Peace.